Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of Just Parlays. I'm Jim Williams, my partner Chris King, and we're getting ready for Friday, which is it's been a good week. It's been our first week on the Max Wagers network, and we're having a lot of fun. We got you know a good group of people, and it's been a lot of fun, Chris. And of course, you had a monster week. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Well, yeah, it was a good week. Like we said, Wednesday we had the shot in the dark. Everybody came through for us. Could have made a bunch of people a whole lot of money. I know Sly said he cashed in off it to some extent when he was in the comments yesterday. And yesterday was a good day too from the premium side because we had a 6-teamer pan out that would have turned $100 into $4,000, and a 4-teamer that would have turned $100 into $700. So it's been a good week. I mean, there's always going to be regression. You're not going to have weeks like that every week, but it's nice when they
Right.
show up. Um,
Yeah.
and it was a good week. Can't complain.
That's why we call it. That's why they call it gambling, Chris. If
Well, some
you want,
people say that I mentioned that the other day, and some people I said if everybody got it right all the time, it'd be called investing, not gambling. And somebody tried arguing about how apparently I don't know what investing means because now you can cash out in the middle of games and all that with DraftKings and all that. That's not the point of betting. Is to just cut your losses at the first earliest convenience. That's
yeah,
not really the point because then sometimes you cut yourself off at the knees, and because if let's say you bail out and the team that you backed was losing at the time came back to win, then you just screwed yourself. But that's what people do.
well, here we are on Picks and Parlays. Jim Williams and Chris King, and let's do a quick Bet MGM because there's two great promotions we got going with Bet MGM. Let's start with the first one, and the first one has to do with new customers. And look, here's what we do. BetMGM is going to give new customers a risk-free bet on your first sports wager up to $1,000. Only new players are eligible for this bonus, and it must be claimed within 7 days after signing up. Now, here's what happens. Once you create an account and you make your first deposit, place any real money bet between $10 and $1,000 and they'll match it, okay? Again, you must be a new customer and use that BetMGM app, and it works really well for you. Now, key to know, you have to be 21 years of age to participate and always bet, as we always say here, responsibly. Okay, cool. So, taking care of a little bit of business there as we work on the wheels of commerce as we move through. So, it's weekend time. Here's Friday. And Friday college basketball means we go on to.
I'm going to go to the AAC first with SMU taking on Tulsa. The Golden Hurricane 11-19 on the year. They're 4-14 in the AAC. SMU finished the regular season. Well, and then if you count the first game of the tournament, 22-7. They're 13-4. SMU is 90th in scoring offense and 74.4 points a game. They're 145th in field goal percentage. They shoot 50.5% from 2-point range. They knock down a fair amount of threes. They're 59th in the country with 8.8 triples a night. They're 52nd in three-point shooting at 36.5%. And they're good at the charity stripe, 74.4%, puts them 86th in the country. Meanwhile, Tulsa doesn't score a whole lot, and that could be a problem here when it comes to facing SMU. They're 271st in scoring offense at 67.5 points a night, 208th in field goal percentage. They shoot 49% from 2-point range. They don't shoot a ton of threes. They knock down 6.8 a night and shoot 34.3% from out there. They're above average at the line. I'll give them that. They're 73.6% at the stripe. Tulsa is 2-6 against the spread in their last 8 neutral site games. They're 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 after a straight up win, and 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 after an ATS win. SMU is 4-1 in their last 5 against teams with a winning percentage below 400, and they won both meetings this year. They beat Tulsa in Tulsa 74-69 on December 29th, and they prevailed 75-61 at the Moody Coliseum there on February 23rd. I think that SMU, Tim Jankovic has his team going in the right direction right now, and SMU will move on in the AAC tournament. picking up a win here that should help boost them. Last I knew, they were the last team out in the field, according
Mm-hmm.
to Joe Lunardi. I'd like to think that they can get into the field. I mean, they've played very good basketball the last few months. You have to remember that this was a team that started the year. Um, what were they? They were 3-3. Since then, they've gone 19-4. I mean, you can't overlook that. They play excellent defense. They've got Kendrick Davis, the AAC Player of the Year, and the Weathers brothers. So I look for that trio to lead the way over a game, but overmatched Tulsa team.
I got to say, look at what in the past 5 or 10 years SMU's done for that entire program. I mean, after they were on, I mean, they basically got the death penalty. And, they've resurrected themselves to, have a decent football program over there in Dallas, a fantastic, baseball program, which they always had. And, now they've got a basketball team to go with it. So,
yeah, I mean,
kudos to them.
Jankovic has done a good job after taking over after Larry Brown departed. Everybody remembers,
Yep.
Luggage Larry, because the bags were never that far from the door.
Right.
So look for that to pan out again here. Bill, I appreciate the compliment. We've been on a roll of late. I'm not gonna
Jinx it.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody gets on rolls. I know Tim's had some good runs, and Allie's been good with the teasers, and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good part about being on this network is everybody's got their niche, and everybody's good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can all help everybody win some money.
That's the whole idea. All right, moving on. We're going to Norfolk State and Morgan State.
Yep, but before we do
Valley
that, Jim.
States.
Yep, before we do that, Will Brown is asking about the Temple Tulane matchup, another matchup of the AAC tournament. Temple 17-11. Tulane comes in 13-14 for Ron Hunter. Yet somehow they didn't play in the first round of the AAC tournament. I guess because they were 10-8 in the conference. Temple won the last meeting 75-70 at home. In the first meeting, it was Tulane taking a 92-83 overtime win on February 12th. It's going to be an interesting matchup. The one thing that makes me worry about Tulane is the fact that they don't have any height. Their biggest guy is 6'9". Now I know that Tulane doesn't have a ton of height either. Their biggest guy, I think, 6'10", but Tulane's a pretty deep team. Aaron McKee juggles a lot of guys in and out of that lineup. And Tulane plays, that's probably when you have two schools that start with a T. Temple plays good defense. They're 14th in effective field goal percentage at 45.2%. They are 13th in three-point defense. And they're going to slow things down quite a bit. They're 233rd in tempo. Tulane's 129th in that category. The big issue, I don't understand why the line shifted. Temple was originally favored. Now they're getting points. I think Temple's the better team. When you get right down to it, I would take the points and the Owls. Temple's a team that can make life miserable. Of course, Jim, I know you remember the years where John Chaney was the coach there.
Yes.
And how he used to make life miserable for opposing teams. But, I mean, this is a Temple team. They beat SMU earlier this season. And they beat up on, other teams. They beat Cincinnati twice. Not that that's saying a whole lot considering what we saw from Cincinnati. They beat Vanderbilt. And, hey, let's talk about Vanderbilt. They upended Alabama yesterday.
Yeah.
In a game that was basically a free throw shooting contest because there were so many fouls, I lost track. But I would take Temple in the points. That's just me. I like the way Temple plays basketball on the defensive end. They make life tough for opposing teams, and I think it's going to be too much for Tulane to deal with.
Temple has got some outstanding guard play, and we talk about that all the time in tournaments, how important guard play is. And they're going to, like you said, 100%, they're going to slow this thing down. They're going to act like they're playing in chocolate pudding. It's going to be real slow. And but that's what they like. I mean, they like to do that because they can control the ball. And as you say, when you're a team that plays defense, they can also transition to offense pretty quick. They're not, so they can turn your mistake into points, and that's not a good thing. So, yeah, Temple definitely is playing punching above their weight, as the old saying goes at this point.
And Bill asked about North Carolina Central. That's another game that's going to be in the same conference of the MEAC. They're
Right.
facing Coppin State. Now, we saw Coppin State
Ooh.
edge Howard the other day, 59-57 on a shot at the buzzer.
Mm-hmm.
The bad news for Coppin State is North Carolina Central. I know it's been a down year for Lavelle Moton's team. They're just 16-14. But they come in off a 12-point win yesterday over Maryland Eastern Shore. In the regular season, UNC Central won both games against Coppin State. They were both close games, 69-68 at home, February 5th, 77-74 on the road on Valentine's Day. If North Carolina Central can avoid the turnover bug, and let's face it, they've had issues with that all season long, they're 354th in turnover percentage offensively, turning it over on nearly 24% of their possessions. If they can avoid that, I think they're in good shape because their defense is better, I think, than Coppin State's. They force a lot of turnovers as well. The other thing that UNC Central's got to avoid is fouls. They got to quit putting teams on the line. They commit, or they give up 0.432 free throw attempts per field goal attempt. That's the 8th highest number in the nation. If they can avoid foul trouble, which is always questionable because you never know how the officials are going to be, just ask Vanderbilt in Alabama. If they can avoid that and force Coppin State to play their tempo, because this is another thing where tempo is a factor. North Carolina Central, they're still above average at 133rd in tempo at 67 possessions, but Coppin State runs like there's no tomorrow. They're 5th in the country in tempo. The bad part is, despite being 5th in the country in tempo, they're 346th in offensive efficiency and 329th in effective field goal percentage.
So they just run.
Yeah, they run. I guess it sets up a lot of rebounding drills because they don't make a ton of shots.
It's like doing suicides.
Yeah, basically. I like North Carolina Central. I like what Moton has done in recent years, and I think I see the line is bumped to 2.5 at some books. I would probably take North Carolina Central. Coppin State's defense is 321st in the country in scoring defense, which makes North Carolina Central's 159th look downright impressive. Plus, like I said, for all the running that Coppin State does, they're 281st in scoring offense. They're 355th in field goal percentage, 38.6% as a team, and they're 349th from three at 29.7%. That's not going to get it done. I don't care who you are. You could have 150 possessions in a game. If you're shooting 38%, you're not going to beat a whole lot of teams. Because guess what? If you have 150 possessions, the other team's going to get 150 possessions too. And unless you're forcing 85 turnovers, they're going to get enough shots to beat you. I'm going to take NC Central, Bill.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, folks, while you're here, and we know you are because we can see, smash that like button, please. Also, subscribe and hit the bell so you know every time that we're going to be on, which is 2 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. So Norfolk State and Morgan State. And it's Coppin and Morgan are 2 Baltimore schools. So Morgan State and Norfolk State, they've had a history over the years.
Morgan State burned me in this matchup just a couple weeks ago when if you looked at that game, Norfolk State was up big at halftime. They led by 8 at the half, but they were up 10 with 17 minutes to go, and then forgot to play basketball for the rest of the game because they lost by 11. So I think Norfolk State's going to have that in their head. You have to remember, you look at this, Norfolk State 169th in the Ken Palm rankings, Morgan State ranked 292nd. The teams, like I said, they split because, did they even split? Because they might have only played one. Nope, yeah, they did split. Norfolk State won 82-62 at home in the first matchup before, like I said, losing that second one 85-74. Robert Jones, he's a good coach. They're 22-6. Of course, our good friend L.A. Bachelor had Robert Jones on a couple weeks ago on his show.
Yeah.
Both teams like to score. Now let's not miss anything there. Norfolk State 66th in scoring offense. Morgan State 62nd. Here's where they differ. Okay. Norfolk State is 37th in scoring defense. They give up 64 points a game. They are second in field goal percentage defense at 37.5%. They're 17th in 2-point defense at 44%. They're 11th in 3-point defense at 29.3%. Meanwhile, Morgan State, 264th in scoring defense, 72.2, 166th in 2-point defense. They give up 7.63 a night. They're 267th in 3-point defense. That's basically going to tell the story of the game here. Norfolk State's defense is better than Morgan State's. They're going to suffocate the Bears on the defensive end of the floor. They're 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 on Friday. They're 8-2-1 in their last 11 neutral site games. Morgan State is 2-8 in their last 10 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. They're 2-6 in their last 8 after an ATS loss. Congratulations, Morgan State. You beat Norfolk State 3 weeks ago on your own floor. Now you're on a neutral floor. Things aren't going to go your way today. Take Norfolk State.
And Morgan State heads back to Charm City for the remainder of the weekend.
Maybe they'll hang out with Detective John Munch and the rest of the guys from Homicide: Life on the Street.
It's possible. It's possible. All right.
And to your question, no. Actually, yes, I was surprised that the 76ers forgot that there was a basketball game yesterday. Like you said, and like Broussard said, Harden had nothing going for him yesterday. And that was one of the big things that we talked about when this trade happened, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
I said that, you were high on the 76ers,
Mm-hmm.
and I was worried about what he's going to do in big games because, especially come the playoffs, whenever you see Harden have a big game, his team's usually down 3-0 or 3-1 in the series, and he doesn't show up when there's something to play for. And that's the way it looked last night. They just looked disinterested for a long stretch of that game. And we're talking about a Nets team that had lost 17-20 before beating Charlotte the other day, and then, winning yesterday. So, I mean, we're still not talking about a great performance by any stretch of the imagination. What do you make of yesterday's blowout win by Brooklyn?
The funny part of this is that tickets to that game, it's a meaningless game, okay? It's just a regular season game. But tickets to that game were going for as high as $250 to $300. I mean, it was like a playoff game in Philly. And so, clearly the Nets came in with the concept of, let's, a lot of people are talking about this Philadelphia team. Look at you, Jim Williams, and smack you down. I always look at something like that. Okay, fine. You lose. You get whipped. What are you going to do the next day, the next time you go on the court? Are you going to right yourself and continue on? And then that is an anomaly. If, on the other hand, you don't and you continue this sporadic, sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm not, that's an issue. So I'm going to reserve judgment on it to see what they do over the next few games. And if last night they just had a bad night, fine. But our buddy Kevin Harlan was, as people were leaving in the middle of the fourth quarter, going, well, there's people going. It seems like they broke into Chuck and the crew for a quick look in, and Chuck was saying, Kevin, you guys going to stay to the end of the game? He goes, yeah, contractually we're obligated to. So there was that. When the fans start turning around and leaving, that's when and we're not talking about 5 minutes left to go in game.
Yeah, I mean, they were down 17 after the first quarter. Harden was 3 of 17 from the floor, and he was 0 for 10 from inside the arc. I mean, that they shot 32.3% that game.
He didn't make a 2-point shot?
Nope, he hit 3. He was 3 of 7 from 3 and 0 for 10 from 2. Embiid was 5 of 17 from the floor. I mean, they were horrible.
They couldn't hit the ocean from the boat. Okay.
Nope, and they let the Nets shoot 56%.
Look,
that's a surefire way to lose.
Yeah, give anybody 56%, they're going to, wow, that's crazy.
And breaking news, the Auburn Tigers, the top seed in the SEC tournament, knocked out as they fall 67-62 to Texas A&M. All of a sudden, Buzz Williams' team has gotten hot because they had a stretch where they lost 8 in a row. And since then, they knocked off Florida in that wild game yesterday where they turned into Arizona State and tried to blow a big lead before winning in overtime. All of a sudden now you've got a Texas A&M team that's won 6 straight and 7 of 8. All of a sudden now they're 22-11. Are they going to all of a sudden push into a spot into the March Madness field now after, upsetting Auburn, who, a lot of teams had on a 1 or a 2 line on the brackets coming into the game?
Look, they're getting hot at the right time. That puts them in semis, right?
Yes.
Okay. If they win, I don't know who they're playing, but if they win the semi and get to the finals, you got to look at it. That's for sure.
Well, just to tell you who they're playing, they will play the winner of the exciting matchup coming up. Let's see, is it later this afternoon? No, coming up next, Arkansas and LSU, Eric Musselman and Will Wade.
They could beat either one of those teams.
Thanks for the NCAA thing buzzing in there. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup for sure between Musselman and Wade.
Yeah, they could easily win. I'm talking now about Texas A&M. I mean, those two teams they're good, but they're not overly good.
And speaking of rock fights, Jim, with 34 seconds left in the Conference USA semifinal, Louisiana Tech holding a lead over North Texas, the top seed there. We talked about Grant McCaslin yesterday. 37-32.
This is with 2 minutes to go in the game.
This is with 34 seconds left in regulation.
Did they not play the first half, or what? They just...
It was 21-13 at the half. North Texas has outscored Louisiana Tech 19-16 in the second half. Louisiana Tech shooting 28.6%. North Texas 21.6.
Holy mackerel.
11 of 51 for North Texas, 14 of 49 for Louisiana Tech. This is making that Boise State San Diego State game from earlier this season
look like
an offensive bonanza.
Right. Gosh, that's with the shot clock too. Oh man.
And early in the second half, it's Cincinnati holding a 39-32 lead over Houston.
That's in the AAC tournament, right?
Yep, with 17 minutes to go. This despite David DeJulius going 2 of 11 from the floor at this point.
Well, Cincinnati, I got to, jeez, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. I don't know. That's what they call it, March Madness, right?
Yep, so upsets abounding in some of these bigger conference tournaments.
Yeah. It's funny, I tuned in last night to watch some of the Pac-12 and realized I was watching a replay of the Stanford game that had been played earlier. I'm like, didn't Stanford play earlier today? I mean, why are they playing again? It's like, oh, wait a minute. No, that's not the game. So,
and like Sly said yesterday, Virginia, they had 13, 14 points in the first half in that loss to North Carolina. They finished with 43 points. Sly. So you have to figure Tony Bennett won't be in March Madness this year either.
No, he'll be watching or probably commentating. Quick plug, which, they aren't paying us, but it's a quick plug anyway. If you want to have a really good app on your phone that's great for sports, highly recommend you download the CBS app. CBS Sports HQ. They got all kinds of great shows on there. It's free, and frankly, they've got a lot better analysts than ESPN and some of the others. They're good guys, and none of the frilly studio stuff. It's all sitting there and giving you the information, give you all the scores. They do live look-ins. You can do that. They're good. Yahoo's good too, but I would highly recommend CBS, especially now, because they have March Madness coming their way, and you definitely want to see that. So check that out.
And let's not forget, Jim, Indiana upset number 16 Illinois.
Yeah, that was...
So back-to-back wins for Mike Woodson all of a sudden. Now they're probably on the right side of the bracket as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, There's the big was Lenardi had the Big Ten get 9 in or 8 in. What was that
I
at one
think
point?
so.
I mean, it was half the it was over half the league getting it.
Yeah, let me see what his latest bracket said. Yeah, now he has, as of yesterday,
Hmm.
well, he had SMU as the last team out.
Right.
Indiana moved into the last team in. He had 9 from the Big Ten, so he had, let's see, who do we got where in his bracket here? He had Indiana in a play-in game as a 12 with Xavier.
Okay.
Um, just think Rutgers is an 11.
So we got
Um,
our 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 mid majors are getting screwed by too many Big Ten teams.
yeah, Michigan State's a 7, which I don't necessarily agree with.
I
Wisconsin was a 2. Michigan was an 11.
how how does Michigan State rank a 7? I mean, I to me they're tenuous to even be in the tournament, let alone a 7.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, there must be some sort of thing that they're trying to draw off, like the way they played early in the season. But if you're going to put them as a 7 based on the fact that they started 14-2, there's a whole bunch of teams that started off hot that went down the
Yeah, but
toilet.
this is where the this is where the guys who are in the room there, because they're dominated by major conferences, get you know shoehorn these guys in, and that's just not right. Well, we'll get around to it. I guess we got to go to the ice because there's some games today in the
Yep,
NHL, from what I understand.
that's
Let's
true.
let's see what's going on in the wonderful world of ice. The Winnipeg Jets, and the Islanders.
Yeah, the Jets are actually an underdog against the Islanders. Both teams played yesterday because there
What?
was a robust 13-game schedule yesterday, which was weird. Um, but the Jets beat the Devils 2-1. The Islanders blanked Columbus 6-0. But that was Ilya Sorokin, and that
Yeah.
he's not starting tonight. Um, it'll be Connor Hellebuyck, 19, 20, and 9, 297 goals against, a 908 save percentage, and 3 shutouts against everybody's favorite backup goaltender, not named Yaroslav Halak, that we like to bag on. That's right, Semyon Varlamov, 312-1 with a 290 goals against, a 911 save percentage. Yes, Tim, the Sabres did win yesterday. I think Vegas was looking ahead to Pittsburgh tonight.
Was it Sabres for the Cup? Is that what
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
Whenever Tim's on, we have to say Sabres for the Cup.
Tim, let me ask you, what do you make of this game between Winnipeg and the Islanders? I know that you guys, I think you talked about it on the show this morning, but I only caught part of the show because I was trying to finish up all the other stuff I was doing. I'm just curious if you guys, what you make of Varlamov and stuff like that. And is Varlamov worse than Jaroslav Halak?
You know what's funny is that when Varlamov played in Washington, he wasn't a bad goalkeeper. He actually was pretty good. And I don't know what the heck happened. Suddenly he can't, he can't stop anything. But
Yeah, we saw it
it's
come back to
weird.
bite him in the third period against Colorado the other day
Yeah.
when he gave up 4 in the third period to turn a 1-1 game into a 5-4 game.
Well, I mean, Barry Trotz took him to New York. I mean, that was, when the Caps decided not to renew his contract. I mean, one of the first phone calls he got was from, the Islanders, and boom, there he is. And look at that number: it's 3-12-1 with the 290 goals against. It's crazy. It's totally crazy.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
look at those lines down there. Islanders are 6-16 in the last 22, 2-5 in the last 7. I mean, none of those numbers are on above water.
yeah, 2-7 in their last 9 in the second game of a back-to-back, 1-5 in their last 6 on Friday. And Hellebuyck, for the struggles that he's had, having your starting netminder in against a backup that's performed as poorly as Varlamov has got to work in Winnipeg's favor. I know Winnipeg or the Islanders didn't have to travel because they were at home, but going from New Jersey to the island isn't much of a trip.
No.
So they've got that working for him too. And I just think that Hellebuyck is a better goaltender at this point than Varlamov is. And that's going to be enough to get them to win.
Now
Spillane brings up a valid point. He was good in Colorado up until the point when he had the abuse charges, because remember there was the whole thing where he had the domestic violence charges, felony kidnapping, and all that.
Right. Lots of
he
drama.
He ended up getting money out of it because in a civil trial, because the jury sided with him. But still, that I don't know. Sly might be onto something. Might have thrown him off a bit.
One last point on this game, and that is something that you bring up all the time about the Islanders. Their defense, but they don't score. So if you got Varlamov in goal, you're going to be down 2 or 3 to start with. You're going to be playing uphill all the time.
That's true.
So there you go.
And North Texas lost 42-36. Louisiana Tech gets the win.
Hope everybody had the under on that.
Yeah, the Mean Green now will have to try to sweat out and hope that somebody has a bug in the committee's ear to try and get an at-large bid. I think it's probably going to be an uphill climb, even though they've got a pretty good resume.
Yeah,
all things considered, it's tough to get an at-large bid as a Conference USA team, even with 24 wins.
Yeah, they don't get a lot of love, that's for sure.
I mean, they did beat Drake earlier this year. They beat Wichita State. They beat Middle Tennessee. But I don't see things breaking their way. They'll be a good team in the NIT.
Yeah.
But tough break for Grant McCaslin. I had high hopes for them coming back and rooting somebody in the first round based on their ridiculously slow pace, where they make Tony Bennett's team look like Loyola Marymount in the Hank Gathers era. Yeah. Because they were dead last in the nation in the tempo at 59.5 possessions a game.
Bad day in Denton for the Mean Green. All right. From the Jets and the Isles, we go to
the Penguins and the previously aforementioned Vegas Golden Knights.
There you go.
Golden Knights 32-23-4 after losing last night 3-1 to the Sabres. Jack Eichel had some great things to say about the game yesterday, where he said, it was the loudest he ever heard the building in 7 years, and it only got that loud because he left. With Robin Lehner back in Vegas getting a update on his lower body injury, it'll be Logan Thompson 1-1 with a 207 goals against and a 935 save percentage, expected to start against Tristan Jarry 27-12-6. The 234 goals against, a 920 save percentage, and 4 shutouts for the Penguins. Golden Knights 14th in goals for, at 308, 16th in goals against at 2.9. The Pens are 12th in goals for at 3.21. They're 4th in goals against at 2.60. Penguins 7-1 in their last 8 on 2 days of rest. They're 6-2 in their last 8 on Friday, and 7-3 in their last 10 against the Pacific Division. Vegas 0-4 in their last 4 as an underdog. 0-4 in their last 4 against teams with a winning record. Favorite has won 6 of the last 7 meetings between these teams. When we talked about Vegas last week with Lenny, we said that this was a key 4-game stretch for them because they played Ottawa and Philadelphia and Buffalo, and they only went 2-2 in that stretch. Could come back to haunt them as we come down the stretch for the playoff spot. And Tim, obviously a huge Jack Eichel fan. I'm sure he's got 3 of his jerseys, as you can tell from his comment. Screw Eichel. John, no, I haven't driven in New York City in probably 2 decades, and when I did, it was like 2:30 in the morning, so there wasn't any traffic. But
we're talking about going from New York to the
from the Prudential Center to the island.
Well, that's in miles. It's not much. It's a 3-hour drive, basically. You got a nice bus trip. It's everybody gets a nice nap. It's okay. You're not going anywhere. But they got Instapass, so they should be Easy Pass, so they should be able to make it. So let's get ready. We're going to go to the association in a minute, but one thing about the games being played at the Glass House, right, in Pittsburgh. George McPhee is very good at getting goalkeepers, and for the Golden Knights. So this kid that's what is it? Logan is his name?
Yeah, Logan Thompson.
Yeah, Logan Thompson. He's 1-1. We'll find out a lot because he's playing. He gets thrown into the fire because Pittsburgh at home. That's not a fun situation. He's when he comes out of there, he's going to really be battle tested, which we'll see. But yeah, the
Well, I think
Pens at
coming in handy
home.
because you can never have enough goaltenders.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't. It's like having left-handed relief pitchers.
That's true.
So anywho, before we go to the association, you remember we talked about the fact that we had 2 promotions from BetMGM? Well, here's the second one. And this was fun too. And this is one we've had for quite a while now. Use your BetMGM app, then place a bet of at least $10 on any NBA game. And you get $200 if either team hits a three-pointer. So click on the link in the show box below and get a chance to play. So, it's a pretty safe bet that somebody in an NBA game is going to hit a 3-point shot. Okay. So that's like taking money from BetMGM. If they're willing to give it to you, take it. All right. Now, remember, you have to be 21 years of age to play. And of course, always bet responsibly. So that's from our buddies at BetMGM. Okay. All right. So on to the association we go. And after we spoke about the 76ers death knell last night against the guys who drove over from Brooklyn, let's go back and see who's
They probably
playing
took cheesesteaks with them too when they left.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably had a bus full of cheesesteaks. Yeah.
But yeah, we've got Memphis. Yeah, Memphis at home. I'm taking them over the Knicks. I know the Knicks have won 3 in a row. I know the Knicks just blew out Dallas the other night. But the Knicks are allergic to sustained success.
There you go.
To be honest, they're 28-38. They're 15-19 on the road. They have to go to Memphis. The Grizzlies 45-22. I now think they're tied for second in the West. Now the Golden State won last night. They're 23-10 at home. The Knicks don't score. The Knicks, it must be something with teams in New York where they can't score because the Knicks and the Islanders they can't find a way.
I don't think Barry Trotz is coaching them, but yeah.
Well, Tom Thibodeau is basically the basketball
version of Barry Trotz. Yeah.
They're 27th in scoring offense at 105.8. They are 27th in field goal percentage at 43.6. They're 12th in 3-point percentage at 35.4. Memphis, they're middle of the road defensively, but that doesn't really matter when you're third in the league in scoring offense at 114.2 points a game. The Grizz love to run. The Knicks love to walk. The Knicks are 8th in scoring defense at 106.8, 5th in field goal percentage defense, 11th in 3-point percentage defense. Memphis 10-1 in their last 11 after scoring at least 125 in their last game. They're 8-1 in their last 9 against teams with a losing road record. The Knicks 4-10 in their last 14 on one-day arrest. 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 on Friday. Quick look at the injury report says the Knicks will not have, as of right now, because everybody knows these things can change, Quentin Grimes out with a knee injury. Nerlens Noel out with a sore foot. Cam Reddish done for the year. That's a blow for the Knicks. A shoulder injury to that AC joint. I remember that pretty much damaged Kevin Cobb's career in the NFL. Yeah. Derrick Rose still coming back from ankle surgery. Obi Toppin is questionable with a strained hamstring. And, of course, Kemba Walker not with the team. He'll be inactive the rest of the season. Meanwhile, for Memphis, the big name, Dylan Brooks, he's been out since late January with an ankle sprain. He is doubtful tonight, but he's on the comeback trail. Probably I'll see him next week. Either way, the Knicks with all those missing pieces and losing Reddish is a big blow. I mean, you traded away. Mm-hmm. You didn't trade away big pieces. You traded away Kevin Knox, who wasn't really doing anything in your rotation. But Reddish was a valuable third or fourth scoring option that the Knicks could use, and now he's done for the year. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Alec Burks and other guys to step up if there's one thing I know about Alec Burks, it's that he can get you a lot of empty points, but he doesn't get you a lot of points when it matters.
Well, I'm going to try out a new name because Memphis has been good to us. And that is, how about the Beale Street Bullies? What do you think?
Sure, why not?
Why not? Okay. Now, if you happen to be in Memphis tonight, you're going to go to the game. Suggestions. It's, Friday, we always talk about food. So on Friday, go to Mud Island and watch the boats go up and down the Mississippi right there. Get, if you want to get a corn dog or something like that, not a bad situation. Go to the game. Go to Miss Shirley's on Beale Street afterwards.
Are they good corn dogs?
Yeah, not bad. They're a corn dog. You can get fried everything on Mud Island. So if you want fried pickles, you can get that. Deep fried anything. That's Mud Island.
They deep fried Twinkies too.
I assume so, my friend. If you want a deep fried Twinkie, if they don't have it, take the Twinkie over the deep fried for you. Then go to Miss Shirley's, listen to some jazz, has some catfish, some grits, and maybe a few hush puppies, and you got yourself a trip. Because I know Chris likes this, to go over, to the hotel, to the Peabody, and watch the ducks as they come back and forth in and out of the hotel lobby. So
I'm surprised that you promoted catfish and fried pickles, but you didn't talk about barbecue or anything like that.
Memphis has got good barbecue. I'm not throwing shade in that. It's just that for some reason, Miss Shirley's and the catfish and the hush puppies and the grits today, it seemed appropriate. I don't know why. Maybe because the New York Knicks are in town.
And Tim said he heard hush puppies and barbecue.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting combination.
Have you been to Memphis? Have you had Memphis barbecue, and how would you compare it to the Carolina style of barbecue? Because I know that you're just north of me.
Is this a question, or is that a question for you?
Oh, I'm asking Tim. Tim said he's hungry now.
Okay. Well, Tim, that's what we do on Fridays. We talk a little bit about food and some of the things, and we kind of, Memphis barbecue and Carolina barbecue. Is that the deal?
Yeah, I'm curious if Tim has had Memphis barbecue and how he compares it. If he compares it, he says he hasn't been to Memphis. Jim, have you been to both places?
I have.
Have you had barbecue at both places?
Yeah, sure. I would give Memphis a slight edge over Carolina, and the reason being, I like it a little bit. If you like your barbecue like really wet, with the sauce all over it, and so basically you have to have like 7 or 8 towels before the thing is over, before you finish. It's good. I mean, it really is good. Barbecue in Carolina is also good, but it tends to not be as drippy as is the case. I do remember going there once and being given, when we went into the restaurant, being given a loaf of white bread, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, why are they giving me this? Well, I ended up eating about half of it with my, because there's that much sauce left over from the barbecue. So hey, look, you can't go wrong either place, right? I mean,
see, I like brisket myself.
Well, you know what? That's a Texas barbecue for you, because Texas loves to cook up them briskets over there. So
does my wife's uncle, but he lives in Alabama. So
no, there's nothing wrong with Alabama. There you go.
Except it's Alabama, but
Well, yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Ryan said that Memphis dry rub is tasty, and Tim said he's not a fan of vinegar-based barbecue.
Okay. Tim, it's why they print menus, my friend.
And now Tim's going to Bojangles. Are you going to get dirty rice?
Hey, you know what? Popeyes has pretty good dirty rice. If you want to go,
I like Popeyes. I first got into them when I was in the military. Obviously they didn't have them up north at the time,
right?
But I like Popeyes. It's good stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Popeyes. You can go get yourself some chicken, get yourself a nice chicken sandwich with those sweet pickles and some dirty rice, and you're good to go. You know what? People are actually tuning in to want to find out what's going on with basketball. So let's go to our next game.
All right, we're going to go to the Heat and the Cavs.
We're not going to do any restaurant reviews in Miami.
Oh, Jim said he's getting a 4-piece with barbecue sauce, fries, and a sweet tea.
Okay, sweet tea. Now that's important. Don't ever ask anybody in the South for, sweetener, sweet and low, any of that stuff. They'll smash the cup over your head. So by all means, sweet tea, Tim. Well done. Go ahead. And now back to the show.
Yeah, the Cavs have been banged up with injuries. They lost Jared Allen to a broken finger, so he won't play. Karis LeVert's still out with a foot sprain. Colin Sexton, of course, done for the year. Meanwhile, for Miami, Jimmy Butler is questionable. He's still dealing with a sinus issue. That's why he didn't play the other night, which is weird. But
Yeah.
And Tim said he's not that dumb. Well,
who's not that dumb?
About the sweet tea thing.
Oh, okay. I was curious as to. Go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah, Caleb Martin is questionable with a hyperextended knee. Other than that, though, Miami's relatively healthy. The Cavs don't score. They're 24th in scoring offense at 106.9. They're 10th in field goal percentage, 16th in three-point shooting. Miami 4th in scoring defense, 4th in field goal percentage defense, 8th in three-point defense. Cleveland leads the league in scoring defense, but the problem is Miami's a little bit better on the offensive end than Cleveland. They're at home. They're 4-0 in their last 4 after a double-digit home loss. Miami's 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 overall. 9-2-1 in their last 12 after a straight-up loss. Cleveland 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 after allowing 100 points or more in their last game. The Heat bounced back from that disappointing showing against the Suns the other night and get a victory over Cleveland to maintain their hold atop the Eastern Conference standings.
There you go. What we're going to talk about coming up here.
We're not going to talk about barbecue?
No, we're not going to talk about barbecue right now. We got some promos to make, and that is barbecue. My partner Chris King, following him on Betting Royalty. For those of you who can spell, I can't at times. For hitting that 10-teamer this week that paid out $56,025.55 on a $1 ticket. You can get Chris's picks, on his parlays sent directly to your email box. Now, Chris is not going to do it for you. He's not going to email you, but you got to go to the show box. There's a lovely link there. Click on the link, fill out the information sheet, and each day you'll get that sent directly to you. Okay, so it's all the information on BetMGM, on the great lineup that we have here on the network, as well as getting Chris's outstanding picks. Can be all found in the show box. It's down there on your way by. Click the like button, click the bell, and hit the subscription button so that you can come back and find everything you need to know about betting and a little bit on Fridays about food. Okay? Meanwhile, back to 2 for the money, my friend.
Yep, and Bill, you can be happy. Iowa has now moved ahead at the under 8 timeout after trailing early. They're up 22-20
in the first half.
Yep.
Houston after the other one, I have to ask.
Yeah. That's true. Houston has come back at the under 8 timeout in the second half after trailing by 7. They now lead 53-49 with 7:40 to go. So the Cougars maybe took the Bearcats' best shot.
Well, maybe they got that didn't land the punch. That's a good deal. Okay, our 2-team parlays today. We already talked about the Mustangs and the Hurricane, and the Grizz and the Knicks and the Pens. The only one we didn't talk about was Minnesota and the Jackets.
Yeah, Minnesota, let's face it, they beat Detroit 6-5 yesterday. Did you see the highlight of any of that game, Jim? Where Alex Nedeljkovic for Detroit went to swat a bouncing puck that was wide of the net and then smacked it and ended up knocking it into his own net.
Whoa. How does that happen?
It just deflected funny, and he ended up beating himself because the final score in that game was 6-5.
It's an own goal. Yes.
I'm sure Detroit Lenny was thrilled when that took place. We just said Columbus got waxed by the Islanders last night, 6-0. Minnesota, obviously the better team. The Blue Jackets going nowhere fast.
When the Islanders beat you 6-0, it's a serious time to decide what exactly you are doing.
Exactly. And I think Minnesota will take care of business and roll to a win, even
Okay.
going to Columbus, because the Blue Jackets give up a ton of goals on home ice.
4 for the show.
There's the Penguins. We just talked about them
Yay, we
moments
talked about that.
ago. So we don't need to talk about that anymore.
Right.
Tennessee over Mississippi State. I know Mississippi State beat South Carolina to move
Somebody
on.
asked us about Mississippi State yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they beat South Carolina. They moved on to the quarterfinals. Big difference between beating South Carolina and beating a Tennessee team that comes in with 9 wins in their last 10, including wins over Auburn, Arkansas, and Kentucky in that stretch.
Right.
Tennessee also beat Mississippi State in their lone meeting this season, 72-63. That game coming in Starkville back in early February. I just think the Volunteers, if there's a team, if you have a team that you want to get in the tournament, and you need a coach, Rick Barnes is probably one of the guys you want to get, because everywhere Rick Barnes goes, tournament appearances follow.
You know what? And Tennessee wouldn't surprise me that Tennessee won the conference tournament.
Especially now that Auburn's out.
Yeah. And you said and Vanderbilt's still around, right?
Yeah, Vanderbilt beat Alabama yesterday.
Are they in the same brackets? You could end up with a Tennessee and Vanderbilt game.
Let me see. Actually,
The pride
yeah,
of man.
if that would be a semifinal matchup, should Vanderbilt find a way past Kentucky.
Oh, that would oops. There's okay. Let's say they hump over that mountain. That would be quite a mountain to jump. But anyway, yeah, that'd be entertaining. So
that's the 8:00 matchup tonight. Is 11th seeded Vanderbilt against 3rd seed Kentucky. The Tennessee Mississippi State game goes at 6.
Okay.
Because right now the LSU Arkansas game started a few minutes ago. Arkansas up 10-4 early in that one.
Everybody knows how much we love the I-4 Magic, and they're
right.
playing.
But they beat New Orleans the other night. They also hung tough against Phoenix, but Minnesota seems to be playing fantastic basketball of late. It's very disturbing for me as a Utah fan watching this team suddenly decide that they can play basketball with any kind of relevance. All of a sudden, the Timberwolves are 7th in the West. They're only 2 games behind Denver for the last guaranteed playoff spot. They're only 4 games behind Utah for the division lead. They've won 6 straight. Orlando, they're still the worst team in the league. There's better days coming for Orlando.
Yeah, they're young.
But they're not coming this year.
Right.
And Tim just said Tennessee versus Vanderbilt in the conference championship. Is this baseball or basketball?
Could be either.
Well, not normally baseball or basketball, though, because Vanderbilt, they've
struggled. In the past, Vanderbilt's had some decent teams.
Right, but the last few years have been down years for them.
Right. And that's a funky place to watch and do a game, Vanderbilt, because they have the court is on a riser. And if you look at it, it's actually 3 inches above the bench areas. So
I can see somebody tripping if they didn't know.
Yeah, I know. It's like scary as heck. Anyway. All right, so the Heat, we already talked about
the Heat beating the Cavs. So
yeah, moving on. Here's another 10-team parlay for you boys. Mark these down. The Gauchos.
UC Santa Barbara, Long Beach State. Now, we've talked about Long Beach State before. The 49ers have played some pretty good basketball this year for Dan Monson. The thing is, UC Santa Barbara is a team that has the proverbial, BTDT, been there, done that before.
Right.
And that's a big thing. Joe Pasternak has done a great job with that program. After a slow start to the year, because Santa Barbara was 8-9, since then they've won 9 of 10, including knocking out UC Irvine yesterday. And we're used to talking about UC Irvine being the class of the Big West, but all of a sudden now the Anteaters are gone in the conference tournament. So there's that to take into consideration. Meanwhile, Long Beach State, they split in the regular season. Long Beach State won 65-58 at home. UC Santa Barbara won 84-71 at home on February 19th. Like I said, UC Santa Barbara's got a ton of momentum. I think they can cover 2 against a Long Beach State team that's probably played better than anyone would have anticipated this season. I like Providence -2.5 over Creighton. I know Creighton played some good basketball, and Providence, sputtered for a long stretch of that game yesterday against Butler.
Right.
But let's face it, Creighton still doesn't have Andrew Nemhard, or sorry, Ryan Nemhard. Andrew Nemhard plays at Gonzaga,
Hmm.
um, and that's going to come into play here against a Providence team that is a veteran team. They have a lot of depth. They just met in Providence 2 weeks ago, and the Friars won 72-51. It's not going to be that big of a margin here, but I think Providence, they learn from yesterday's game
Mm-hmm.
and play better today. I like Dayton over UMass. The Flyers, a very good basketball team. UMass, not so much. That's all we need to say about that.
Right. Rockets and Zips.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup in the MAC. Toledo slipped by Central Michigan yesterday, 72-71. Akron edged Buffalo 70-68. Both teams won in the final seconds. So should be an interesting matchup there. The Zips are just a little bit worse than Toledo. That's why Toledo's the number 1 seed. And I look for the Rockets to get the win. New Orleans over Charlotte. Now, the big thing, this is going to be a battle of attrition because New Orleans announced yesterday that C.J. McCollum was in the health safety protocols.
Hmm.
Brandon Ingram is out with a sore hamstring. Meanwhile, for Charlotte, of course, Gordon Hayward's still out with that ankle
Right.
injury. But let's face it, Charlotte's one of those teams that started went up here, and then went crashing down, like we hope to see gas prices do at some point again.
Right.
But I look for New Orleans to prevail at home. Dallas, I look to bounce back with a vengeance after they were smashed by the Knicks the other night. I look for them to beat the Rockets, who are the worst team in the West. Like Tim said, fading the Fakers is a full-time job, so I'm going to take the Wiz +4 over Los Angeles. Apparently, our buddies at Picks and Parlays have multiple full-time jobs because fading Steve Alford is a full-time job, fading the Fakers is a full-time job, backing the Sabres must be a full-time job.
We all have full-time jobs here in
Uh,
the fading business.
yeah, the Lakers, just taking a quick look to see if there's anything exciting on the injury report that I should know about and that therefore you should know about. Anthony Davis is out, not a surprise. Taylor Horton Tucker questionable with an ankle sprain. LeBron questionable with that knee injury where he sat out earlier this week and then played Wednesday when they lost to the Rockets. For the Wiz, of course, Bradley Beal out, but they do have Kristaps Porzingis back, so hopefully he can do better than the 1 rebound he had the other night in 26 minutes. Kind of disappointing when you're 7-3 and only get 1 rebound.
This is true.
Vancouver over Washington. I know, Jim, that you're disappointed to see the Capitals on the wrong side of this one, but hey, it's your buddy Bruce Boudreau, so you'll get over
Bruce.
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Caps on this road trip so far have won 1 game, tied 1 game. Well, they lost in overtime. I'm sorry. And so now they play Bruce, a former coach, and to be honest, he was a fan favorite and team favorite. So there's going to be that, and I'm sure he's going to want to. I don't think Halak is going to start for him tonight. I think that's a pretty good chance he's going to be saving Halak for another day.
Yeah, I'll just double check that. I would hope not, because Boudreau, if he's smart, doesn't play Halak the rest of the season. But knowing him and the fact that people think that they need to play their backup goaltender once in a while, nope, they've confirmed as of about 45 minutes ago it will be Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Well,
Washington is slated to potentially start Vitek Vanacek tonight instead of Samsonov.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Then we've got Minnesota and Columbus over 6.
Yeah.
Goaltenders there are supposed to be Capo Kakinen for the Wild, Elvis Merzlikins for Columbus. Either way, Minnesota can score. Columbus likes to give up goals. That'll end up over the total. And I look for Vegas, Pittsburgh to end up under the total. Vegas is tired. This will be their 3rd game in 4 nights.
Mm-hmm.
And Tristan Jerry plays very good at home. Meanwhile, we'll have to see what Thompson does Or who knows? Knowing Vegas, they could just go back to Prasad just to piss everybody off after we said that it was going to be Logan Thompson.
It's highly possible.
But either way, I look for it to fall short of the total, Jim.
All right, there you go. All right, everybody. We're going to get out of here because it is Friday. Any final questions? You see the hands up there, Chris, before we leave?
No, Tim said LeBum Q James or LeBron Q LeBum.
Either way, it doesn't look good, Timothy. All right. Hey, look, watch the entire Max Wagers team. Middays, we got midday money with Sean Higgs at 9 o'clock. At noon. I'm thinking Pacific time. Morning with Allie Burns, 1 to 2. Then it's us at Just Parlays from 2 to 3 ish. And then it's back to the window with Scott and Scott, 3 to 4. And game time decisions with Nick, Tim, and Lenny at 5. There's no reason why you should not be spending the day with us, okay?
And real quick, with 3:34 to go, Houston has now taken a 62-51 lead over Cincinnati. Looks like the Cougars will move on to the semifinals of the AAC. Also for Bill, who was worried about Iowa, with 3:51 to go in the half, they just went to the under 4 timeout. Iowa 32, Rutgers 24. So Iowa all of a sudden turning things around, getting things going. They did trail 19-13 since then. They've gone on a 19-5 run. So Fran McCaffrey's team looking to punch their ticket to the semifinals, hoping to not end up being another team that gets upset in the Big Ten tournament.
Good plan. All right. So there you go. Updates as we speak. All right, everybody. Have a let's try this again. Let me re-rack my mouth. Okay.
Cut
and pick up again. All right. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. Tons of basketball to watch. We'll talk about baseball next week. And, of course, we'll have March Madness starting on Monday. We're going to be breaking down the West bracket. Allie's going to have on the 1 o'clock show the East bracket. The Midwest bracket's going to be Scott and Scott at 3, and then the boys.
The law firm of Earl, and Detroit Lenny.
And Detroit Lenny will be at 5, and they're going to be breaking down the South. So you're going to have everything covered starting Monday, okay? So join us 2 o'clock on Monday right here on Just Parlays, Chris. And by the way, one last thing, all the information on everything we talked about today, from the network to the how to get Chris's parlay picks and all the wonderful MGM Bet MGM promotions, all in our show box below. And be sure to check that out, okay? All right, everybody. We will see you come Monday. Take care. Have a safe weekend.